Excuse me? Are you from Koenigsegg?
Yes.
How do you pronounce it?
Jesko.
Jesko.
Or if you want to be Swedish, Jesko.
Jesko. Okay. And this is the new one?
Yes. It's named after his dad.
Absolutely fabulous, isn't it? Oh. So it takes the theme and it just moves it on, I feel. It just sort of...
Yeah, it's kind of, sort of, because it's a car that's produced in two series, the 251,
yes,
which is a track-based car, and the 300. It kind of takes us back to the 11.
Right.
In terms of a visceral track car. And then it's the next step from the Regera in terms of a 300 mile per hour, if you could call it a GT car.
Right.
Slightly more space in the cockpit as well.
Right. The same. What do you call the doors? I mean, I know I've seen them on all the cars.
Hinges.
Right. Okay.
These are actually being improved.
1,400 HP.
And kilos.
Right, and same. So that's 1-to-1. Yep, I follow you.
If you have a look, the doors have been changed. They've changed the shape of the hinge slightly.
Yes.
So it now clears curbs.
Right.
So when you pull up to a curb, it will open, and it's got a sensor.
Because it used to be further down, didn't it?
It used to be about 30 millimetres further down, but it had a sensor. It's still got the sensor.
Right.
But you can see where even the insides of the wheel arch are part of the air channeling away to get the hot air away
from the wheel. Yeah, absolutely.
Out of the car.
It's truly fabulous. Yeah, absolutely.
The thing that makes it easy for us, I'm actually from Australia, is the cars are designed from outset for global homologation.
It just, in a way, it's a pity. Well, I suppose it's not a pity because it suits the business model, but in a way, it's a pity that you can't get them slightly further down.
There's a new model coming out, 2023,
right,
which we're starting to take deposits for, I believe, today, which will be at €1 million price point.
Right.
That'll be a quad-cam V8 with, I don't know if you're aware of free valve technology.
I understand the concept.
Yeah, so that'll be fitted with free valve technology, because at the moment, I've got a couple of 3 marketing agencies back in Australia. This for me is a passion. I actually work with, I don't know what it's on, taking photographs to help you set the business up. There's a gap. You've got the Ferraris and Lamborghinis that butt up to that million euro dollar.
At their top end.
Yep. And then you've got the hypercars which start at that 2 price upwards. So there's Pagani, Rimac. There is a gap there in that $1 to $2 million range.
Yes.
We'll be talking to Lois Roth later.
Do you have a name for the $1 million car? No. So it'd be $1 million, €1 give or take. Yeah, somewhere around there.
And that'll be a lighter weight. It'll still be a quad cam V8.
Yeah, right.
It won't have the battery packs, which sits in the transmission tunnel, hence why it's sculpted.
Right.
Is manufactured by Rimac. So there's a very good collaboration between Rimac.
So you've already got a collaboration, yes, right, okay.
That's actually the starter motor, which just happens to be 200 horsepower and happens to be...
is that right? 200 horsepower?
To the crank.
Right.
What's unique about the drivetrain in this car is there's no gearbox. There's a torque converter and 1 gear in the differential.
Right.
Because what actually happens here, these are another 2 electric motors. So the fundamental weakness of an internal combustion engine is not a lot of torque and low RPM.
Yep.
With electric motors, 3 of them, 1 at either wheel and 1 on the
stops.
crank.
Yep.
You've got instantaneous torque from low RPM. So this car will accelerate from 0 to 300 miles an hour without a gear change.
In a linear fashion, yeah. Amazing.
This is actually, for the want of a better word, the GT Tourer. So you don't even need to change gears.
Hugely quick though. I mean, I've never had the pleasure of driving one, but I can imagine. I knew it was 1 gear. I mean, I think that's 1 transmission.
It's pretty exciting. I was in a Regera last year up at the factory, and it was pretty cold. It was 5 degrees, so we're having difficulty getting heat into the tyres.
Right.
But at 300 kilometres an hour, the car gear change quite happily steps out sideways, which causes a puckering in a certain part of one's anatomy.
I imagine.
It does.
Yeah. I think that it always amazes me that you could drive this with an ordinary license, can't you? I mean, it always amazes me that they don't require you to have some sort of additional qualifications.
The amazing thing to me is that these cars are homologated for and California's the toughest market in the world. These cars are homologated.
Yeah, for the California market, yeah. And out of an engine and chassis and transmission that you've developed entirely yourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I understand even the wheels and the brakes, they're all in-house.
Show you a little something interesting about the wheels.
Sure, sorry.
So that is a floating floating rotor design.
Right.
So that's actually the rotor, and this is what actually bolts the rotor to the actual axle hub.
Right.
See how that's a solid piece of metal?
Yes.
That's exactly the same as every other car manufactured. I'll show you how obsessed this is.
Okay.
Come here, you can see the metal's been scalloped out
Ah.
on the trailing edge.
Yes.
So on the leading edge where there's a force applied to the brake, there is plenty of material to absorb the force. Where there is on the trailing edge, where there's no need for that metal's been removed, and that removes about 48 grams of weight, unsprung weight.
Yes.
So the Koenigseggs are the only cars in the world with left and right hand brake rotors.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, I can see why that would be necessary.
It's just an obsession with detail. I mean, the pneumatics on these cars are the lightest pneumatics in the world.
And this would be what, 2.5 to 3 mil?
This one's 2.2 euros
2.2
out of the factory, and then dependent on
what you have it,
which country you go to, how much one's government chooses to rate one.
And how that would include all the extras, or there would be?
No, that's the base car.
That's base car. So,
but I mean,
most of your customers are going to
absolutely
spec it right up, I imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, particularly when you start to get into some of the Arab nations, there's gold leaf included in the cars,
right,
and matching helmets with gold leaf in the helmets, and it's just.
Fair enough.
I'd be very happy with just a white one. I think the purity of this car is
beautiful. And then the whole back lifts up, does it?
Correct.
Right.
I'll see if someone's got the. I saw Andreas here a second ago. Just hang about a tick. I'll get the car open.
Okay, thank you. That'd be kind.